Hey guys, so I'm doing another video of a custom charcuterie board that I did for a client. This is a walnut live edge and it's going to have some blue resin. So first, I square up my edges and then I plane it so that the top and bottom are nice and smooth. And there's a little bit more preparation, but I just skipped ahead of it, so you don't have to see all that. But I'm prepping the resin right now. I needed about 64 ounces of resin for this pour, and so I'm just mixing it in small batches and then pouring it into a larger container. It's just easier for me to do ratios. There's a lot of math involved and I don't feel like doing all that. So they make these ratio cups so that it's easy to measure out your resin. This is a 2-to-1 resin and it's called liquid glass. So it takes about 24, I would say 3 days to actually cure. And so it's a deep pour resin, so I can pour large pours at one time instead of doing it in small increments and having to wait every 30 minutes to pour another batch. So this is just a good way to do the resin all at once, and it's a really good product. So yeah, I'm just mixing it. I'm doing it per batch, so about 24 ounces at a time until I get 64 ounces, and I keep doing the 2-to-1 ratio until I get the right amount. Here I'm just mixing in some of the color. When I initially did it, it was actually too light, and then you'll see later on as it gets that it gets darker, but I forgot to film that part, so forgive me. But here I'm just mixing a little bit of the blue, and it'll be a nice see-through color. The client wanted something translucent, which has been my favorite so far. Instead of the opaque colors, but I didn't have any blue alcohol ink, so I just mixed a little bit of the mica pigments at a time so I can get the exact amount of liquid that I wanted. So here I'm pouring. You can see it's very, very clear. It's kind of like glass, which is really, really nice, but it was a little too light, so I ended up going back and mixing in the color in the mold. It just took a little bit of time. As you can see there, you see the swirls. Using the mica pigments, it is sort of metallic, so you'll get those kind of swirls, which is kind of nice. So here it's 3 days later, and I'm a little impatient, but I'll stare at it every day until it's ready to come out of the mold. So I'm just taking it out, and it takes a little bit of work to get it out of the mold, which is why you put the tape on the insides, and so it doesn't stick to any of the tape, because resin will stick to anything except silicone, except tape. So here I'm just chiseling it out. You can be really careful on the resin so you don't chip it, but I do a little bit at a time until it comes out of the mold. And there you see my helper, his hands. Here I'm just squaring up my ends so that everything is nice and square, and then I go in afterwards and I check for square. When I first started out, it would be like all my stuff would be kind of lopsided because I just was not very good at squaring things off. So there I'm just checking to make sure everything is perpendicular to each other. Here I'm just cleaning up everything. I did go to the jointer, as I did in the beginning, to clean up the long edges. Well, we didn't need to see that again. Now I'm just running it through the planer to get everything nice and smooth, get some of the resin off of the wood parts, and also it's to even out everything. Here I'm going through the grits to start sanding. So I go from 80, 120, 220, 320, 400, 600, 800, 1000, 2000. It's a lot of sanding. And also don't worry, I'm wearing protective mask. You do not want to breathe in resin dust. No, I know. Here I'm just making sure I get all of the sides, the front, the back, all the edges, and then I sand it over, round over the edges to make them smooth. Here I'm starting to wet sand. I usually start wet sanding at about 400. And that helps to get everything super smooth. Initially I had wet the the wood down, and then you raise the fibers by doing that, so that when they wash it, the client washes it, it's not like all rough and scratchy. So yeah, wet sanding the resin helps it to become clear, and it's not as hazy when you first take it out of the mold or when you first start dry sanding. And then there I add about 1,000 grit. I do some hand sanding, and then I just start feeling, making sure everything is even, smooth, soft to the touch, and you can see it as it starts to get see-through there. This was a birthday gift, so this was a surprise actually, and so it's for a chef. I put his logo on it, and here I'm just putting on the final touches, which is I start with mineral oil, and then after that, once it's dried, I put on my beeswax mineral oil finish, and I also give that as an extra when people order boards. And that is it. Thanks for watching, guys.